people from Townsville South down to the Whitsundays, and part of that Birragubba Nation are the Bindal people, traditional owners of the land on where James Cook University sits today. So welcome to country, and especially to you, Linda Burney, welcome to this part of beautiful Australia, our country. I'd like to acknowledge the Walkarookabar people that we share all these lands with, and each and every one of you that we share this great nation with. And I honour and pay respects to all our elders, past, present and future, and especially our elders that are with us here today. Our non-Indigenous elders, our Torres Strait Islander elders, and especially our Aboriginal elders, and especially to you, Annie Val Alberts, and of course my husband, Carl Wiles. I'd like to acknowledge each and every one of you here, especially to you, Cathy O'Toole, our Federal Minister for our Townsville region. And it's great to be part of this forum today because it is about our business. It's about everybody's business. It's not an Indigenous thing. It's not a non-Indigenous thing. Our youth is our future. Our youth, being whatever, is we have to nurture them and look after them because they are our elders of tomorrow. They are our future. They are our politicians. So it's up to us to ensure that we have a safe environment for all our young people. So thank you once again for inviting me along to be part of this, and Wadamuli, thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have a speaker, eh? I mean microphone, but that's fine. It's all loud here. Firstly, I'd like to thank and acknowledge Amnesty International for the invite here to this very important forum here this morning. And I'd like to acknowledge our extinguished guest, Linda Burney, who's made time to attend here and hear about our issues and that. And also Cathy O'Toole there, taking time out. I guess, as we all know, our Indigenous youths around the country, we have many problems with, and I guess the answers to that isn't easy to come up with, but we certainly, as with Amnesty International, I was just quickly reading your flyer there, that and your quote from the Burke Elder, that we certainly have to come up with some smart solutions in addressing these issues and problems. I guess for myself on a local level here, and I have family connections to the Palm Island community and further north, and have worked around this community for over 4 decades. I did start out in the area of youth, dealing with youths, back in, I don't know, when was that, late 70s, 80s, early 80s, through to the late 80s. And I guess working with, in child welfare, our then Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander organisations, we did deal then with many youths going through the court system. I think somehow that I don't like to make excuses for our youth, but I do feel that intergenerational trauma from the past is still in play in our communities today. It is very hard surviving out on the streets if you don't have a big income within your families. And if people are on welfare payments, how far does that get them? And they certainly can't afford sporting activities or any other activities that may, where they can constructively, I guess, engage the youths. People are struggling out there, and simple means of transport. Families cannot, if they're on the dole and don't have an income, well, they can't afford to get their kids to sporting events or what have you, or even to the beach. They probably don't have cars to get to the beach. So somehow we've got to network and work our services together, but I guess our communities and somehow how we get these families also, we need to empower these families also to be able to address the issues and the many concerns. But anyhow, I better leave it at that and thank you everyone. But I do hope that we do come up with some solutions, and we've all got to be part of that solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Auntie Virginia and Auntie Jenny. We appreciate it very much. We'd like to acknowledge traditional owners, each and every one of us. This is the land that was never ceded. It's always been and always will be Walgarookaba and Bindal country, and we acknowledge those elders that are with us, between myself and Muriel. So would you like to...
So ready for the main event. The Honourable Linda Burney is a member of the Wiradjuri Aboriginal Nation. She's the first Aboriginal woman to serve in the House of Representatives and currently serves as the Shadow Minister for Human Services. Linda was also the first Aboriginal person to serve in the New South Wales Parliament. She represented South-Western Sydney region of Canterbury for the Australian Labor Party since 2003 and has served as the Deputy Leader of the party from 2011. Linda has begun her teaching career at a public school in Western Sydney in 1979, obtained a Diploma of Teaching and was later awarded an honorary doctorate at the Charles Sturt University. Linda was an executive member of the National Council for Aboriginal Reconciliation, President of the New South Wales Aboriginal Education Consultative Group, and is former Director General of the New South Wales Department of Aboriginal Affairs. In her first speech as the member for Barton, Linda spoke of the priority that Parliament must give to juvenile incarceration. In her words, she said, "We cannot be satisfied that this is a fair country while so many of our young people, many of them Aboriginal, are locked up. There is not a more appropriate person to deliver Amnesty Townsville's 2017 Human Rights Lecture. Let's give a warm welcome to the Honourable Linda Burney, the Shadow Minister for Human Services."
Is that working? Can you hear me? Clearly? Thank you to our two wonderful MCs. It's just fantastic to be introduced by both of you, and also to be welcomed by Jenny and Virginia. And the comments that you've made, I want to come back to, because I think that what you've said in 5-10 minutes is really the issues that we need to be discussing here. And to Carl and Auntie Val, thank you for coming along this evening as well. Can I just make a few opening comments, and thank you all for coming to Amnesty International Townsville Chapter to listen to my thoughts with you about particularly youth incarceration. But before I do that, can I make a few opening comments? I was up in Brisbane last week sometime, and I was giving a speech there. I've had a really sore throat, and halfway through the speech, I just could not talk anymore. So I had to ask the audience if anyone has a lozenge, and I kind of quit with my own tonight, just in case I run out of puff. And to also say that I'm so thrilled that Kathy O'Toole's here. Kathy is a dear friend of mine in the Federal Parliament, and her advocacy for your area, and in particular the Indigenous issues here and in Palm. Kathy just speaks up. I've never heard anyone talk as straight as Kathy O'Toole does in any Parliament. And Kathy, thank you for being here. In fact, I don't know if you heard, but John Hirsch is here as well, made a good point, that the entire communication safety system software went out in Sydney this morning, and there were no flights out of Sydney at all until about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock today. So I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make the connection. So the alternative was, and I haven't told them this yet, is Kathy, I was going to send you my speech and you were going to give it. With a picture of me somewhere up there. So Kathy didn't have to do that, but I made it. The other thing I know there's been great sadness, business up here with the passing of a very significant woman in Evelyn Scott up in this part of the world. And I knew her very well, and in fact one of her daughters and I worked together for a long time in Sydney. That was Catherine. And I just wanted to pay my respects there. And to also say you must be feeling pretty good in Townsville, eh? Not a bad game on Sunday night. And I saw the news to the Heroes Welcome that everyone got. And I have to say that I think Sydney will be with you at the ANZ Stadium next Sunday, because we don't want Melbourne to so the Cowboys. And what wonderful advocates for so many things. So can I, as I said, thank Auntie Judy and Auntie Virginia for your welcome to Wiradjuri country. And I pay a deep respect, a binding respect, to the Bindal and Wiradjuri, that's how you say it, people. And also thank you so much for speaking about the issues here in Townsville with young people. And reminding us very much that the youth are our future, and that this topic is everyone's business. And I think that those three messages are fundamental to where we go tonight. The youth are our future, that this is everyone's business, and of course there needs to be alternative methods found than what's happening at the moment. So thank you for that. And finally, thank you to the organisers for inviting me to tonight's gathering. I just am so pleased to be here. I feel a bit delirious, but we'll get through it. Can I also just say that I come to this, everyone, from a number of perspectives. In another lifetime, I was the chairperson of the Juvenile Justice Advisory Council in New South Wales. I don't think that council even exists anymore. This was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And what that council had the responsibility for was to advise the government on issues and how to go about juvenile justice in the state. And it had amazing people on it. And the government of the time listened to what we had to say. And what took place in the juvenile justice system is not what we're seeing now. And it just seems to me that's probably one of the first things that we might want to mark up. What sort of advice and who is giving it to government about the administration of young people, of juvenile justice, but more importantly, let's get away from that, more importantly, issues to do with young people. Is there young people in that mix? I know in the state that I come from, and it no longer exists, there was a youth advisory council, and that's been done away with as well. So those two key sources of advice, young people and people that had expertise and understanding in the juvenile justice space from the community, no longer have that role or even exist in New South Wales. So those two things we might want to think about. How is the government coming to understand the issues? Reminding ourselves that it's primarily state and territory governments that administer juvenile justice in Australia. In my time, everyone, and I was youth minister in New South Wales as well, and in that time I made it did was to actually visit juvenile justice centres. And the two that I wanted to share with you very briefly, and they would be the same in Queensland, I am sure, is that I went to what was called the Frank Baxter Juvenile Justice Centre. It's now called Carry On. It is the maximum security centre in New South Wales. And I will never forget visiting that place. You had to go through something like 4 doors before you even got inside. There were searches, it had barbed wire, and it was a place that was not built for rehabilitation. It was a place that was not built for young people. It was a full-on, very heavy prison. The other place and it was full, I'll never forget this either, it was full of young men. It was on the central coast of New South Wales, and this is the second point that I want to make. Most of the young men in that centre, and some of them had committed dreadful crimes, were Aboriginal, and most of them were from Western New South Wales. Now, that is an awful long way from the Central Coast. So what that meant is that those young men did not get visitors unless their families actually moved from Bourke or Warriner or Walgett down to Gosford so that they could be close to their sons. So that's the second thought that I'll give you, is that there is often young people are incarcerated an enormous distance from their families, from their culture and from their community. And that is in itself an enormous challenge for young people, particularly young Aboriginal people. The other group of young men that I noticed very much were young men from a Vietnamese background. And it was at the time when the Sudanese were just becoming members of the Australian community. And there were a number of young men from the Sudanese background there as well. And that tells a story in itself. The other place that I visited was what was called Wiradjuri Juvenile Justice Centre. It's now Reedy. And it was for young women. And going in there, it was a lot more pleasant. But I can say to you that 80% of the young women in that centre were Aboriginal girls. And most of them had come from situations that were extremely challenging, with an enormous amount of violence in their lives. So the Juvenile Justice Centre for young men was about 50% Koori, but the Juvenile Justice Centre for young women was over 80%. And young, really, really young. The centre in the Reedy Centre that I spoke about was for young people under the age of 16. I mean, I don't know about Queensland, but I am not sure what locking up a 10-year-old does. So there is that issue of the age of criminal accountability that the government talks about. And you would wonder what it means for young people in the same centre that are between the age of 10 and 18. And of course, the other big issue is what sort of educational opportunity are provided in those places. Are there educational opportunities that provide that young person to be able to learn to read? Because most of the children in juvenile justice are illiterate. Does it provide an opportunity for going out and finding a job or going to training? And I can tell you that the wind back that I have seen in the educational provision for those young people while they're inside is pretty poor. In fact, it's appalling. So if you add those three things up, so that is where these places are, the age of people that are being put in there, and then the educational provision. There's three very important things to think about. And of course, the other reason that I'll come to is why so many young Aboriginal people end up in jail. Now, the thing to also, and I was mortified about this, and Kathy and I are on a committee together in the Parliament, is that what I didn't understand enough until the Don Dale situation erupted was that in the north of the state, and I suspect it's up here as well, it's not 50%, it's not 80%, it's almost 100%. And these are young people that make up between 4 and 6% of the total Australian population. So there is something terribly wrong somewhere. Something terribly wrong somewhere. Nationally, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children are 24 times more likely to be incarcerated than non-Indigenous children. Your report says that. Your report also, Amnesty's report, also talks about the widespread reports of self-harm inside, the sort of psychological intimidation that we have seen writ large, the invasive search procedures, and the use of mechanical constraints. I know that that was also an issue in Queensland. These are the things that your report highlighted, and I want to congratulate you on that report and for your hard-fought campaign and advocacy on this matter of youth incarceration in the justice system. Amnesty's report speaks the truth, and it's also some of the fairly harsh realities that policymakers need to take on board. I think one of the things that I'm not sure how I feel about this, but many of you that have known me for a long time will know that I served in the New South Wales government. I served in the New South Wales government, and I went through a number of elections. And this is not a popular thing to say, but it is the truth. One of the things, and I can't put myself in your shoes, I don't know Townsville well enough, but in Sydney, the most popular thing you can do in an election campaign is ramp up justice, ramp up, lock them up, throw away the key. Ramp it up because that's what the tabloids love, and that's what the shock jocks love. And that's the truth. And unfortunately, sometimes political parties fall into that to ramp it up. And that the longer the sentence, the better, because that's going to please Alan Jones and Ray Hadley. Well, that is not the way to make good policy on this issue. That is not the way to deal with what is an absolute scandal in this country. We still see the high volume of the interaction between Indigenous young people and the justice system. And often the reasons of those circumstances are beyond control of the young person. And this is something that the aunt said in their acknowledgement, is that I think it is only becoming understood in a very real way, certainly within our caucus, is the effects of intergenerational trauma. I am so sick of hearing and things being said to me that, oh, well, just pull up your socks and get on with it. That's all in the past. That is not true. And with this issue of incarceration, what we need to understand and what policymakers and those of us in government must build into our thinking and must build into the directions taken when it comes to Murray kids and Gorey kids is to understand that you cannot avoid things of history. That you can't avoid things of intergenerational trauma. And you can't, as the aunt said, divorce it from things like poverty and the challenges that are faced by many Aboriginal communities. I'm quite close to the community of Walgett, New South Wales. And most of you would know that place. It's about 2,500 people, 80% Aboriginal. And one of the things that I am horrified when I talk to relatives and young people from that place, is particularly amongst the young men. I don't know about the young women, but particularly amongst the young men. In our community, it's almost become a rite of passage that you do time and duty, that you go to Dubbo and do a bit of time. And how can it be that is the way that some of our young people see their life trajectory? And when I was the Minister for Community Services in New South Wales, which was a pretty hard gig, I was listening to someone speak one day, and it was an Aboriginal woman actually, and she said something that I will never forget. It's imprinted in my brain and in my heart. She said, imagine a child that cannot imagine the future. It's hard to get your head around that, isn't it? But I think that that's a very important thing to understand about so many of our young people who are growing up in extremely difficult circumstances and in communities where there is very little to imagine in terms of the future. So you can't divorce this subject from those factors, and there are probably many others. Outcomes in education, for example, and a whole range of other things. Can I talk about, just very briefly, because I think it's much more important that we have a conversation tonight, more so than listening to me speak. It just seems amazing to me, and some of you are of my vintage and thereabouts. Who remembers 1987, what was happening in this country in 87? There was a thing called the Royal Commission into Aboriginal Deaths in Custody. It made, I don't know, 300 recommendations. And I bet you, and I know, that none of those recommendations were fully implemented by any government. It was cherry-picked, and mostly it gathered dust. It was a Royal Commission. I just say that because we're about to see the outcomes of the Royal Commission into Dondale and justice in the Territory. And I truly believe, everyone, if that Royal Commission had been fully accepted and adopted and implemented, we would not be having this discussion tonight. Because what it did, and it never happened before, this is 87, 88, it actually looked at the underlying issues for the first time. It looked at outcomes in education. It looked at poverty. It looked at racism. Looked at a whole range of things that were important to understand, which is what we need to understand with this tonight. I have some examples in my paper of terrible injustices, but I won't go through them in detail, but we all know about the death of Mr. over in Western Australia. Shocking story and shocking imagery. We also know about the experience of Dylan Voller. Dylan Voller came to the Parliament with Amnesty a few weeks ago actually, and I met him and had a really long talk with him. He's a tall boy and quite bespoken, and will tell you he's extremely troubled. But he also said that what has to happen is not what's happening now in the juvenile justice system, where people are not seen as humans, and that there had to be alternatives to what was going on now. I also wanted to make the point to you, and this is something else that Amnesty might want to think about, I'm sure that you are, in fact I know that you are, is I think there is a link between out-of-home care, kids taken and put into out-of-home care, and juvenile justice. In fact, there is a link. You can trace young people's path through it. And the scary thing is that the numbers of children being removed at the moment is the highest it's ever been in this country, ever. Most kids leave care without a care plan. I know that when I was the Minister in New South Wales, we improved it, but there was still, 40 or 50% of kids leaving care at the age of 18 out of care plan. What do you think is going to happen to those kids? It's a bit like, the outcomes of the stolen generation in some ways, where that link with community, that link with language, that link with culture is so very much damaged. And we know that nationally, young Aboriginal kids are 10 times more likely to go into care, and also it is increasing exponentially. In Victoria, 21% of children aged over 10 years and living in out-of-home care in 2007 had contact with police in the previous 6 months. Can you see the connection I'm making? So that's something to keep in mind. Now, what can be done in pragmatic ways by governments? Bail laws, I think, are one of the biggest issues that need to be addressed. In Australia last year, in October last year, the Australian Bar Association called for a review of bail laws in a number of states, and there's some work going on with that. But you think about some places where Murray kids are locked up 99.9%, like the Territory, and it's one striking you out. That is not justice reinvest. That is not rehabilitation. That is locking kids up for very, very minor things. And in fact, when you look at the Aboriginal adult population, the majority of Aboriginal people are in jail for sentences of less than 6 months. Now, you wonder why people get locked up for less than 6 months. But can I also say to you just a couple of other things, and then we can open it up for discussion, is that it seems to me that one of the huge challenges, and this is as boring as BS, but let me go through it, is one of the huge challenges for government and for the community, but most particularly for young people and their families, is that electoral cycles are 3 to 4 years. And that's what government focuses on. And the most powerful people within that are often, or agency, is Treasury. So we know through programs like Justice Reinvestment or circle sentencing or Koori courts, we know that the most powerful thing or the most sensible argument is an economic argument. Lots of people understand that. But to lock someone up for a year, I don't know, $100,000, $180,000, but to pay for a good teacher to teach literacy is about $56,000. So where's the investment? And the long-term outcomes in terms of health, in terms of getting a job, in terms of paying taxes, for people that have had that investment, like most people in this country. So where does it fall down? Is it the training? Is it the police? Is it the magistrates? Is it society and expectations with that issue of racism? I think it's all of those things. And if a child is told and made to feel long enough that they're not worthy, that they're sort of not as good, then that's the way a child will see themselves. You cannot tell me that race is not part of this discussion. So can I just quickly say that one of the things that we have been asked repeatedly by non-Aboriginal organisations, but particularly by Aboriginal organisations that are dealing directly with this issue, is for heaven's sake, at a federal level, and this is what you can do at a federal level. We don't have lots of levers. We don't run the justice system. We don't run the police force. We don't operate the jails. We don't operate most of the courts. But what we do is set targets and monitor and demand what states should do, or not demand, through the COAG process. And for years, people have been saying there needs to be a justice target in the Close the Gap program. Tony Abbott refused point blank to do it. Malcolm Turnbull hasn't been able to do it. And we will continue to advocate for that justice target. There are 7 targets in Close the Gap, but there is none around out-of-home care, and there is none around justice. And it seems to me that this is one of our biggest priorities that we need to deal with. Within the within the Australian Labor Party, we've got an Aboriginal Choice Vote on the Caucus Committee, and we have nominated 3 priority areas, and one of them is juvenile justice. That's how important and how urgent we see this as a topic. I think probably the rest of my speech I won't go through because we won't get time to have a discussion, except to say that we're also pursuing very much the issue of good educational outcomes, but the other thing, of course, is, and I won't go into detail, I'm happy to do it in questions, is where we're going with recognising Aboriginal people in a referendum, and also recognition, because I think they are fundamental in the broader scheme of things of addressing issues like justice targets, because it's the way in which society broadly demands of government some decent action when it comes to Aboriginal children. So I know that's been quite didactic and not the sort of poetic prose that probably people would like on a night like tonight, but I just think this, can I wrap up by saying that for me and for Aboriginal families, the anguish of and the worry when your kids go out at night, and I've had it happen with my own daughter, so you know, it affects all of us. Getting picked up on a railway station for not having a ticket. Ending up in a jail cell and being taunted by police to say, do you want a rope? That is not the way you treat young people. And it's not the way you treat young Aboriginal people. And this is the sort of worry that you have when your kids go out, isn't it? Or your relatives. And it just is wrong when you hear, oh, so-and-so's son's got 6 months at Reedy, or what's the name of the place up here? Cleveland. And it's part of what is expected. So those things have to change. And where we can affect change federally is by demanding a justice target, and where state governments can change things is not getting caught up in a law and order option, and also talking to the Aboriginal community and the broader community and young people about alternatives to incarceration. And there are many examples in Australia and many examples around the world that are in the long run, much more economic than locking someone up for those years of their life when they should be out, getting an education, enjoying things, and learning what life's about. So I think I'll leave it at that. I hope that's helped you think about some things.
Well, thank you very much, Linda. We now come to our question and answer session. So what we have is Muriel's going to run one of the microphones and Peter will run the other one. Yeah. So if you have any questions...
You've got a better answer than me, jump up and say.
So I'll start it just by asking a question. One of what we witnessed once when we were at the airport was the case where about 10 kids were handcuffed and were made to walk across the hot tarmac in December. And when we followed it up, trying to get photos and trying to then address it with the state government at the time, they said it was a standard practice for around Christmas time for many of the police in some of the remote areas to send the kids down to Cleveland, and that was a standard practice. And even though I wrote a complaint, it didn't go anywhere, so it was really interesting to see that was a practice. As a fellow teacher, I'm really interested in what you said in regards to the price of creating a teaching spot rather than paying for that amount of people. What else do you think that even teachers should do? Because I know there are some in the audience to help improve the outcomes for Indigenous students.
Have we got some teachers? Plenty of teachers. I used to be one once. It's funny, once a teacher, never a teacher. When I do school presentations, kids go, you used to be a school teacher, didn't you? I say, yeah. So what was your question?
What do you think that teachers could do to help with improving the outcomes for Indigenous students?
Well, it depends where you're teaching. I don't know, can you tell me, in Queensland, does every juvenile justice centre still have a functioning school? Yeah. So, obviously what goes on in those classrooms is absolutely crucial. But I've always seen Aboriginal education in two handfuls, everyone, and I think this is depending where you teach. Aboriginal education needs to be about equal outcomes for our kids. That not equal access, but equal outcomes for our kids. That's one handful. But the other handful is equally powerful, and that is that teachers are the most critical tool outside the family in educating young people about the truth, the whole history, the whole story. And when you have a population like you that is interested, that understands, that knows the truth, then that changes things in the long run. Does that make sense? So there are those two things, I think, most important.
Thank you, Linda. So if you'd like to ask a question of Linda, please raise your hand and we'll have our microphone bearers come and
You can
approach you.
disagree, something I should have done.
Come to you next.
Yeah, hi, my name's Desmond. I'm part of the Upper Ross Community Voice that's situated at Calcite. Being part of that committee, we deal with a lot of things, both from local level and state level, and we've seen lots of exciting times with our school teachers in that area, where all the principals have been very proactive between high school and primary school. And one thing that I love in supporting teachers in this regard, I'm my wife and I have quite a few children ourselves, is that we love supporting our teachers in that role. And so if it reciprocates from our teachers, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing at any stage here, but we're really excited to support the teachers, and with that, the local primary school has had over 90% attendance with 75% Indigenous students, and the local excitement is you only get one chance, and so the principals there are very interactive with both the parents, starting in the home, to then excite and change and harness the power of choice for our pupils and students for future reference.
I love that.
Yep. So it is working.
Thank
It
you.
is working, and from local community and state community, we as an Upper Ross community voice, we love to be involved in that. So there's a bit of a spruik and a spiel on that. But thank you.
That's
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, some of the latest results show that from the census data, Townsville has one of the highest performing educational outcomes for Indigenous students. Completions of Year 12, but also staying in school. So yeah, that was just released on the 8th of September.
That's absolutely fantastic news.
But we also have a high incarceration rate as well, so it's interesting. So, thank you. Another question in the front here.
Hi, Linda. Thanks for a great talk. My question is about corporatisation of the detention system. Is it corporatised in Australia, and if so, to what extent? We know that in America, the privatisation of jail system is a very important driver of the excessive rate of incarceration in that country. Is that a relevant factor here?
I can only speak about what I know, and there is certainly a move towards privatising prisons in New South Wales, a sizable move. I don't know of any, I don't think it's happening in the juvenile area, but it's certainly happening in the adult prison makeup. I think there's about 2 or 3 private prisons, and I think that I know there's a move to privatise a number of the existing government-operated prisons at the moment.
Thank you for your question.
They do a great job with the detention centres, I mean, really. That was sarcastic.
Another question? Yes.
Thanks for this session, it's fantastic. I'm just thinking too, and I was really interested in, you were talking about care plans. I mean, that's what we do in the health industry, and I'm thinking also of I see a lot of men that have just come out of prison, and in the 2 or 3 years, before they get their good behaviour, they're not allowed to visit their kids, they're not allowed to visit family, and I just think, that's just another really self-destructive thing, and I think, we've got to support, the men, and we've got to support the people that are coming out of that system, and to support their families as well. Any ideas how we do that?
I think I'll take that as a statement. I think that it's about what happens when you're inside, and there's some wonderful work that's done internationally. I don't know about Australia, but not so much, but wonderful work being done internationally, where there is a very different approach to love and rehabilitation and giving people the skills to cope. And the other side to that, of course, is being told, well, this plastic bag's going to change your clothes and here's $10 and see you later. I mean, really? That's not going to get anyone too far.
So, thank you.
Right, I think we might just take 2 or 3 more. I don't want to keep people here too late.
So yes,
Okay,
go
thank
for
you.
it.
You talked about the link to out-of-home care for these kids and everything. I used to work for community services in New South Wales,
Oh, when did you
A long
do that?
time ago in Mount Druitt.
Not when I was there.
And we, at the time, would try whatever we could to put children in a family, in a home situation. Whereas when I came to Queensland, I noticed that here in Queensland and the Northern Territory, babies and newborns and little ones are being put in out-of-home care where there's round-the-clock carers clocking on, clocking off. There's no family support or care at all. And I see that as a huge problem, that these little babies and children are growing up with a different carer clocking on Tuesday and not there Thursday. And what can we do about that? Like, children, if they have to be taken out of a home situation for safety reasons, why are they being put in shelters or accommodation or flats or units where there is no family support? It's just...
I can only speak about from my own experience. When I was the Minister for Community Services, everyone in New South Wales, I brought in legislation called the Aboriginal Child Placement Principle. And it was legislation that an Aboriginal child, if they had to be removed, must be placed with their kinship, with their grandparents or their auntie or someone within the kinship system related to them. If that wasn't possible, then they were placed into the Aboriginal community. And at an absolute stretch, if none of those sort of things were possible, then a non-Aboriginal family could be considered. But there were about 84% of kids, Aboriginal kids removed, were with family, and that's called the kinship placement principle. My understanding is that has been moved away from now. The other thing that's crucial to all of that was restorative, with kids locked up, restorative justice. But this was restorative justice for those children to restore back to their families. Instead of saying you can never ever have access to your child again, there are cases where that was justified because the abuse was so horrendous. But where a family could do parenting courses and all of those sorts of things and jump through pretty solid hoops, and they needed to, then that restoration was possible after 2 years. But I think a lot of that is going, and people are just so adverse in those organisations. They're not giving the support they need, caseworkers. There's not enough caseworkers. And in New South Wales, and I don't know about up here, I'm sorry to keep saying that, that sounds pretty tedious. In a lot of the juvenile, this goes back to your question, sir, about privatisation, a lot of the activities that government would normally do with the removal of children are being privatised. And I think that's really problematic because there is no oversight. You know, the kid goes off to the Brotherhood of St Lawrence or wherever. I'm not saying they're bad organisations, but for-profits are coming into it, like disability services, like aged care, and governments are just, what do you call it? Outsourcing those responsibilities that I think are the responsibility of government. I'm old-fashioned like that. But I just think things like disability and child development, I think government's got to have a big role in that. You can't just outsource it. But unfortunately, that's what's happening. And that's what we've got to stop. We've got to stop it. Just very briefly.
I guess getting back to that question too, the very good question, Virginia and I and others in Townsville have places working under that child placement principle and activism for
Yes.
Townsville.
Yeah.
And it was a big push here, it was very successful. What today in the 21st century, what we're seeing is your blue cards that are stopping our people of looking after our kids. Right? So it's the blue card system that have to be looked at and very much looked into because it's that blue card system that is still disempowering our men and our families.
I agree with that.
That's why our kids are not in our business, in our communities.
I think that's a really good point, and if I can just give an example, and I know we need to wrap up.
That's all right, we've got 2 more questions.
Example. I dealt with a situation exactly like this. As grandparents, they were caring for their grandkids. There were 12 grandkids. and the grandparents were caring from them. They'd been caring for these kids for 15 years or 12 or 15 years. And then this new system came in for the, we don't have blue card, but it's like blue card. And the grandfather had a record from when he was young. And you know what? That stupid agency said to the wife, if you want to keep these kids, you have to leave him. I mean, it is the truth. Yeah. So what are they supposed to do? There's 12 kids that they're caring for. Their daughter and son didn't have the capacity to look after the kids. His charge was from when he was 23 or something. And this is a man now in his 60s. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But that's the kind of stuff that has to be dealt with. And there are situations where I'm not saying that everyone's perfect, but that was just nuts. But I couldn't stop it. So I just couldn't believe how stupid it was.
So we've got two more questions and another one here, and that's final then. Thank you.
My question is about, I guess, the other side of the quote-unquote problem, if you want to even call it this way. There's a lot of discussion about how we can invest in these young people to give them better support preemptively, but also when they're in the system already. And I wonder about society and what is the role of society in actually causing this issue. I just recently in Townsville, there was a huge blow-up around crime rates and crime problem, and it had a very clear racial or overtone, if you will. And I just wonder, first of all, if government sees that a lot of the issue is about how society's expectations reinforce certain behaviors and assume them already. And also if there's any way to divert policy, I suppose, towards that type of change.
People may think this. Let me put it a couple of ways. To answer your question would take another hour, so what you're saying is that, of course, the way in which society treats you, doesn't matter whether you're black, white, or outer space, that's going to affect how you conduct yourself. But I don't want people to walk away tonight thinking, well, I'm pushing out responsibility, because I think one of the, and I'm sure the First Nations, Aboriginal and Torres Strait people that are here will agree with that. You can't take away that responsibility that community and family have as well. You've got to be honest about it. And I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying that there are many things that governments could do that could change things, understanding that there is community and family responsibility that have to be a big part of this. But all of the programs that I have seen, without exception, of early intervention for young people in this space have been trials, or communities haven't been able to get ongoing funding. And there's enormous promise, like the restorative justice program in Burton. And then the money runs out and can't finish it. And that, I think, is one of the most frustrating aspects of this issue. One more and then we'll wrap up.
I think I am lucky last. Sorry, you go. I guess my question is around, I know there's a lot of issues obviously in terms of the mistreatment and dehumanisation that occur within staff of our police force and corrections. So what I'm wondering is, how do we force widespread cultural change within those organisations, or do we need to look at some kind of national hiring program? Well, I know, like, we need to change something, because obviously the people working within those systems are not our best people to be working with. You know, I'm not saying it's all staff, there are fantastic staff within those organisations, but there are also people that don't treat young people like humans.
The majority of people are fantastic. And I will be the first to say that. However, there are some bad eggs. You get that everywhere. But the thing, whether you're good, bad or otherwise, unless you've had proper training, unless there's been, it seems to me the most sensible thing to do, is that if you've got people that are going to be working with Aboriginal kids or adults or what, you have Aboriginal people on the interview panels. You have selection criteria that make sure that they are the right people working in those spaces. All that stuff seems to have just disappeared over the last 10 years. And there's a lot of things that used to happen that don't happen anymore, that make sure that people are the right people and properly monitored, and people in senior positions are the right people. You know, there are ways to deal with this. There are ways for it to be better. And I just think a lot of it's been forgotten. Or the time isn't taken anymore. But I wouldn't want to say that there aren't good people, because there really are.
Well, can we thank Linda? So, thank you, Linda, for your time and wise words today. Your career has been built on an exceptional work ethic, and we know that you'll continue to build upon that legacy. One of the things that we want to really thank you for is giving up your time and energy, knowing how hard it was to get a flight up here today. These things don't happen just by chance. It's really important that we acknowledge the Amnesty International Townsville group, and we bring this to an end by thanking those members who put this together. So, should we thank them? So in our final act, we'd like to thank the committee who are responsible for today's event: Jeannie Adams, Peter Hanley, Paul Woods, Sue O'Brien, Heather Laurie. Thank you very much. And of course, thanks to all those wonderful Amnesty International Townsville volunteers, and also for our musician outside, our daughter, Kian Music, for performing as well. And thank you for all those wonderful people who attended tonight. We thank you for your time, and we wish you a wonderful evening and good night. Peter. Oh, Peter. Didn't have one to note. Very importantly, Peter Hanley is going to share with you why you have your puzzle.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
Thanks, and can I just add my thanks to Max's for Linda making great effort to come here today and persisting and getting through despite all air traffic control could do to stop you from coming. So thanks very much for coming. We really want something to come, well, we want to have actions from us all tonight, and Amnesty International, as Linda mentioned several times, our major program, our major campaign this year is Indigenous Youth Justice, and our goal is to have the Prime Minister launch a national plan of action for Indigenous Youth Justice. So that's why you've all got this interesting looking bit of paper. Now the idea is this, you can see it's actually a jigsaw thing, and we'd like you all just to put your first name on the yellow bit and fill in your details underneath. Now please, if you do put your email address, and I hope you will, you'll get some emails from Amnesty International. Well, that'll be just to update you on the campaign. If you really don't want those, don't put your email address there, but we hope you will put it there. And what's going to happen, you can see it's a jigsaw puzzle, And the goal is we're going to have about 10,000 of these from 10,000 people all over Australia. They're going to be taken down to Parliament House, and a giant jigsaw in this pattern will be erected or set out in front of Parliament House with a big missing piece in the middle, and that's for Malcolm Turnbull, because he's the missing piece. We're asking him to launch the National Plan of Action, so please do that. And don't take them home with you, because we need them. We'll have one of those orange buckets there and on the way out. And so please just take a couple of minutes. If you see someone around who hasn't got a pen, just lend them your pen for a minute to put it there. The other very important thing is you've all been given a little green ticket on the way in. And Heather, have you got the tickets? They're there. So we were going to have a book, but didn't get a chance to get the bookshop. So I hope whoever wins it doesn't mind a bottle of red wine. It's very good red wine. I went in to buy it, so I don't buy anything over 10. She said, this is a $20 bottle of red wine that we're selling for 10. So it's good red wine. So I'm going to shuffle them up a bit, then I'll ask Muriel to draw the lucky person. And if you don't like it, you give it to me. So the lucky number it's a red ticket, red A061. 061. Oh. Check please, because otherwise we redraw. 061. Okay. Okay. Another red ticket. 090. 90. Oh, no. No, Cheryl, sorry. So thanks, just again, thanks very much. And I'd like a special great thanks to Max and Muriel for doing such a great job emceeing tonight. And to Kian for providing that beautiful music as we came in. So thank you all for coming, and good luck.
Thanks, everyone. There are donation buckets there if you'd like to donate anything just to help with the costs for tonight. We appreciate it. Thank you.